Hey everyone, my name is Shay, and today I'm going to show you a much faster way to get those insider cells that we got from the last video. And then after that, I'm going to show you how to get pretty much real-time stock data added on to that data set. And then we're also going to expand our data set with a moving average calculation using pandas. So this video will be focused mainly on finishing up our data collection, and then in the next video, we will finally make the dashboard in Tableau, and then I'm going to attempt to automate the running of that script so it runs every day without me having to do anything. So first, let me just show you the code that we're going to finish up with today. So this is the script that's going to get all the data from this website, Insider Arbitrage. It looks a lot cleaner now, very, very clean. And then this one is going to be a script that's going to get that real-time stock data and get that loaded onto the rest of our data frame. So first, I just want to give some shout outs to Abinas for, I think I'm saying his name right, it was Abinas. He left a really good comment on my last video that showed me how to do this using pandas, which is so much faster than the way we did in the last video, and I'll show you some times there. But guys, the support in the last video was so amazing. I've received so many kind comments and wonderful suggestions from you guys, and I can't tell you how happy it makes me to finally see all of those hours of grinding just benefiting someone else. So if you learned something today, please leave a like on YouTube because that really helps me out and it lets me know that you guys are finding benefit in the effort I'm putting into these videos. So with that being said, let's hop over here to the notes and talk about what we're going to learn today. So first, shout out to Raglub on Reddit. He gave me a better way to organize these notes, so let me know if this works better for you guys. So the first things we're gonna learn some things in Python, a couple of really just basics like tuples and dictionaries, some try and accept to handle different errors, and then some lambda functions here, which I'll talk about later. And then the packages we're covering today, mostly pandas, a lot of things to do there. And then on top of that, we're going to talk a little briefly about LXML, and then Pandas Datareader to get the actual finance data or the stock data, and then we're going to cover a little bit of stuff in the date time package as well. Alright, so I've already created a new file here called cells.py. So I'm going to delete these other ones from my workspace, and let's get started here. Alright, so the first thing I need to do is import pandas as PD. And remember right here what we're trying to do is get the data from Insider Arbitrage. Alright, so import pandas as PD, and then I'm going to go ahead and from datetime import datetime just so I can time how long it takes for us to run this script. And that's going to be a variable called start time or really anything equals datetime dot now. And then we're going to print out an f string that's going to say execution time. And we're going to pass in datetime dot now, so what time is at the end of the script minus that start time. We covered this in the last video. Another shout out right here to C. Glacid over on Reddit. He also told me that we can just use these single quotes rather than the triple quotes and these F strings, and that'll make it a little bit more cleaner. So I really appreciate that. Alright, very good. Now remember the data we're scraping is coming from this website, Insider Arbitrage. And yeah, just have a look here, a lot of good data here. This is a table that's populated anytime that a C-suite executive, like a CEO or a CFO, Chief Financial Officer, or a 10% owner of the company, or a director, buys or sells stock in their own company. They have to fill out what's called a Form 4, and then that form is given out to the public so they can see, what different CEOs or CFOs or whoever is selling or buying their own company. So we're going to grab this URL, and then I'm going to come over here and let's call a data frame df equals pd for pandas dot read html, and then we're going to pass in the name of that website. So this function here with pandas read html is going to, really just read HTML from this website. HTML is hypertext markup language, but to do this first we need to come over here in our command prompt, and I'm going to go into my virtual environment. So to do that, I'm going to do insider vim, we created this in the last video, /scripts /activate.bat, not in my virtual environment. And I'm going to install what is called LXML. This is a parser that will be able to help me read that HTML better. And this is necessary for that function in Pandas. So pip install, LXML. Okay, I already have it installed, so this should be very fast. But good, yeah, so pip install LXML, now you have that ready. And let's print this data frame. Print df. And let's run this. Whoops. Let's run, I didn't even type it, my fault. Let's run Python cells.py. And so now what that will do is it'll tell Pandas to go out to that website and grab all the HTML on that website and throw it back to me. And we're going to see how fast that happens. Yeah, well, 11 seconds. So in 11 seconds, Pandas was able to go out, get all the data, bring it back to me. Whereas in the previous video using Selenium to web scrape, it took around a minute. So much, much faster. Huge shout out to Abinas for that one. Okay, so we got a lot of stuff on here. Now, you can mess around with it a little bit, but in Pandas, what you can do is use indices. So I want the third thing on this HTML, and it's kind of hard to know without just messing with it and figuring it out yourself, but I've already figured this one out. This table is in the third element that was returned. So remember, indices start at 0 in Python, so the third index is the number 2. So if I print data frame 2, here's the result. One other thing we can do is CLS for clear screen in the command prompt, and it will get rid of everything we did previously. So let's run this again. I'll cut this out. Okay, now as you can see here, we got that third index, and it happened to be this table that we wanted. That's great. Okay, so now I need to tell Pandas where my columns are, or where my columns are. So my column headers are going to be this row right here, like the symbol, the owner, the value, the filing, so on and so forth. And that's held in the uh, it's actually in the first row. I think this top one, if I'm not mistaken, is just an index row, and it's not really like indexable. I think that's the right word. So really, this is the very first index. And as you can see here, is that 0 is the first index. So I'm going to tell Pandas that my columns equals data frame, and then I'm going to locate with iloc that very first index, and I'm going to assign those to my data frame. So my data frame columns equals columns. Very cool. Now one other thing I need to do now that I have my columns identified, I know that this first index, the 0th index, it's just completely useless to me. I don't want it. So I'm going to actually drop that. To do that, I'm going to do dataframe.drop and dataframe.columns, which we just identified. And I'm going to drop that very first index. So this very first column right here. Get rid of that. Okay, and I need to specify the axis that I'm on, and this axis is 1. And then I need to also specify the in-place equals true. And what this in-place equals true does is it just tells Pandas that you don't need to reassign another data frame to this data frame. Just change the current data frame. So I don't need to do like df equals df.drop. I can just do df.drop, and it changes my current data frame. Okay, and let me run this one just to show you what it looks like. Ooh, whoops. Columns equals df.iloc. Oh yeah, so one thing I failed to do here, I didn't reassign my data frame to that second index of the HTML. I forgot this line of code right here. Remember we went back and we discovered that in all that HTML we wanted that third index, but I've never reassigned that data frame to that. So we should run this now and it should work. Alright, that's great. So now what we're seeing here is that we're getting 2 duplicated rows at the very top. So I need to change my data frame to only be from this index down. So how I do that is I say that my data frame is equal to my data frame, but only from that second index all the way down. So 1 colon nothing. Okay, and then finally, I could print this out, but I'm going to go ahead and say dataframe.toCSV, and then we're going to send it to a CSV called insider.csv. And then I'm going to change this from print execution time to CSV file created. execution time, however long it took. So let's run this and have a look at our resulting file. Alright, I see my CSV file was created and it took 11 seconds, almost 12 seconds to run. If we have a quick look at this file, we'll see we got back the data we wanted, symbol owner relationship, everything we wanted, and it's essentially that whole table in 12 seconds. Really good. I really appreciate the comment that helped me figure that one out. Okay, so now I'm going to create another file now that we have this one done. This is pretty much the entirety of the first video, so I'm going to keep that one up just because it was kind of a good introduction to Selenium, but now it's not really needed. But let's create another file here, and we're going to call this one prices.py. And my goal here is to add the real-time stock data and a moving average to each row in the previous file, in the CSV file. All right. So what I want to do first is import cells, which is the Python file I just created. That way, this will be like my main script, and I can just run everything from here. And so if I ever want to refresh that CSV file and tell Pandas to go out and get the rest of the data or the new data, I can just say like cells dot get cells. And I'm going to create a function over here in cells.py called getCells. So what I'll do is comment this or press that down, define getCells, and then a colon here, and then I'll just take everything from here and hit control right bracket and it'll indent it. So now everything I just did is held in this function called getCells. Whenever I want to access that, I can import cells and then call this .getCells function, and it'll go and get all that data for me. So I'm going to say uncomment this to refresh the CSV file. Alright, very good. Now, the next thing I need to do is import pandas as PD. I know we're going to be using that as PD. And let's go ahead and import datetime, or from datetime. Let's do this from datetime, import datetime. And I'm going to go ahead and copy over these two lines from the last section. And I'm going to unindent those and space them out a little bit. And this is no longer a CSV file created, it's just the execution time of this part. So maybe like prices gathered. Alright, and then execution time. Alright, so we're on a pretty good start here. Now what I'm going to do is read in that CSV file that we just made. So it's going to be dataframe equals pd.read CSV, and then the name of that file, insider.csv. And then I need to specify my index column, and my index column is going to be 0. And that's just this very first column here, 1, 2, 3, 4, so on. There's my indexes. So I specify those as being index column equals 0. Okay, let me get a little bit more organized here. Alright, and now the first thing I'm going to do is I just want to get the stock information based off of those ticker names in that CSV file. But before I add all that logic in there, I just need to find a way to get just the raw stock data. And to do that, we're going to import pandas underscore datareader as dr for data reader. And this is another thing that you can just do pip install pandas underscore datareader. And I already have it installed, so it should be very fast. But really simple, pip install pandas datareader, and now you have access to, I think it's pretty much real-time stock data. If not, I know it's definitely less granular than a minute. So probably to the second. Alright, so I'm going to start working on these functions, and the first one I'm going to call getInfo. So I'm going to call a function getInfo, and when I mean info, I mean I want to get the current stock price, and then eventually I'm going to calculate a moving average. So I know I'm going to pass in a ticker name, so ticker, And then for the moving average, I'm going to need a number of periods. So I'm going to call that N. All right, and one other thing that I need to make note of here is that sometimes on this table, you'll see some weird names like ntip -nyse, and that's just like somebody messed up somewhere. I don't know where this came from, but whenever I try to run this through Pandas Datareader, I'm going to get an error because ntip-nyse is not a stock name. Ntip might be, but -nyse is going to give me an error. So to handle that, I'm going to use what's called a try and except. So I'm going to try to do like some code here, right? Some code, and then if that fails, I'm going to accept and do some other code. Okay, and I think there's probably better practices here to do this, but I'm just going to leave this try and accept. I think generally you don't want to accept all errors. You just want to accept the error that you're going to be getting back. But I can't be bothered to do that right now. I'm just going to do a basic try, basic accept. So the first thing we're going to do here is we're going to try to create a new data frame, ticker data frame, and that's going to be comprised of this pandas.datareader, so dr, and then it has a function called data dot get underscore data underscore Yahoo. Okay, and then I need to pass in a ticker name. So I'll start by passing in the ticker name. And then I need to give a start and an end date. And for that, we're going to be using this datetime function. So for start, my start is going to be equal to the date dot today. And date is another thing, another I guess function held inside this datetime package here. So import date. And then I'm going to start today, and I want to go back like what I did before is 300 days. And the reason why I'm going back so long is because I need to calculate a moving average, and I want to use a 180-day moving average. But remember, the stock market is not open every single day, so on weekends and holidays, there's no data there. So around like 300 days will give me a good, you know, spread of data there. And to do that, I need to do a time delta and then 300. And time delta is another package here within this datetime package. Another function, module, I think it's a module, I think it's what it's called. Class, there we go, another class in datetime. So import time delta, there we go. All right, I'm gonna go into Zen mode here using Control K and Z so I can see a little bit better. Very good. Okay, and now I have my start. I need to specify an end, and my end date is going to be just today, date.today. All right, so that was a lot, but let me go back and talk about this. Take your data frame. We're going to create a new pandas data frame, and that's going to be equal to this data reader function. It's going to go in and using Yahoo Data, get the data for this ticker that we're going to pass in here, and then I want to start from 300 days before today, and I want to end today. Okay, and let's just print out one of these. So print ticker df. All right, and to run this, let me just type in get info, and then like maybe like Apple. And let's watch this one. So I'm going to CLS for clear screen, and then Python prices.py. Some other code. Let me just get rid of this. I'm going to pass for right now. I think that should work. I didn't save it. Whoops. All right, a couple things I did wrong there. The first thing I need to do is comment out this line here so I don't go back and recreate that CSV file. And the second thing I need to do is give a number for in here. So I passed in an in here, and I'm just going to actually say the default equals 180. That should work. Let's try this again. All right, here we go. So what you're seeing here are the previous 300 days worth of data for Apple ticker, and the close is 289.79. That's what we're really focused on here. And just to prove that this is correct, I'm going to go over here to Google and look up Apple. So 289.8 is what it's trading at right now. This is 289.7999. I can call that 289.8. So we know we're getting like pretty much up-to-date data right here. Okay, very neat. Okay, so now the current price, which I want to return from this getInfo function, is going to be that ticker data frame we just created, .iLook for the row, and we're going to get the very last row. That's going to be a -1. And then what I want from that last row, so what I want from this very last row here, well, I want that close number. So I'm just going to put another bracket here for close. And I think it's capital. Okay, and let's just print the current price. So what I've just done here is I've created a function that I can pass in a stock name, and it will go out, and it'll go out and give me the current price of that stock. Very neat. Took like less than a second. Cool. So 289.799, price is gathered. Very, very neat. Now, the next thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to do a moving average calculation, and this will just be a way for me to maybe like compare how a stock is doing relative to its history. So if I see like its moving average, like let's say the moving average for Apple is like 230, and it's right now at like what was it, 280, I think? Yeah, around like 289. Then I know that it's maybe a little bit overbought perhaps, and I might not be so inclined to buy it. And that's of course subject to your own opinion and your own like kind of stock analysis, but it'll just give us a way to another measurable for these different stocks. So to do that, we are going to create a new variable called MA for moving average. Whoops, moving average equals pandas, PD. And this will be taking a series, and that series is going to be our ticker data frame, and it's going to be that close column. And now in that close column, what we want to do is use this dot rolling function here, and I'm not entirely sure exactly what this does, but I think it just like kind of sums it all up, the dot rolling. I'm pretty sure it's just a rolling sum, a rolling total of everything in that column. And then we're going to roll back for the previous n days, and remember n is this number we pass in up here. And I need to specify that the min periods, min underscore periods, this is a parameter in this rolling function, it's going to be equal to 0. And the reason why we do that is because sometimes I'll get data back, so I'll get stocks back that have not been on the market for 180 days. So they may only have like 30 days worth of trading data. And if that's the case, I don't want to be trying to perform a 180-day moving average because there's only 30 days worth of data. So at minimum, take 0 and then up to that n value, which is 180. Okay, then once I have that total sum, I'm going to take the mean, so dot mean right there. And then finally, I'm going to give it a name, and we're going to call it moving average. Okay, so that was a lot there, but let me just print out, this moving average. All right, very cool. So yeah, 220, almost 221 is the current moving average, 180-day moving average for Apple. And I've actually gone ahead and verified this. You can verify it yourself using a couple of different websites, but just trust me on this one. All right, so current price, we have that. Now the current moving average, and that's going to be equal to that moving average, and we want the very last row. Okay, and now once we have all that, we're going to return a tuple, and a tuple is identified or started constructed by using a parenthesis and in a closed parenthesis, and we're going to first return that current price, then we're going to return comma current moving average. Alright, looks pretty good right now. And so I'm going to try to do all that stuff. If I get an error somewhere, just return like a null value. We're going to return NA for the price. and NA for that moving average. Okay, that was sweet. We did a lot there. Very cool. Now, how do I go back and actually get these new prices and these new moving averages appended to my current data frame? So what I need to do here is say data frame, which is my original data frame that I read from that CSV file. Let me actually bring this back. I don't know why I did, I should go up here. Alright, so my data frame, and I need to give a column name. So data frame, and let's just say current price. And this is going to be equal to dataframe.apply. And now apply takes in an argument of a function, and for that function we're going to be using what's called a lambda function. And this is just a way for me to kind of create my own function. So lambda, and what we're going to be passing in this lambda function is a row. So for each row in this data frame, the previous data frame, I want to get the price. Okay, and get price will be another function that I create here in just a minute. And I want to get the price on that row. I need to set my axis equal to 1 again, so that it knows that we're focusing on the rows. And then if I hit Shift Alt down, I can copy and paste that. And I'm going to say that my current, let's just say moving average, is dataframe.apply, and instead of get price, we're going to get moving average. Okay, and then now I need to go and create these two functions, get price and get row. So just to recap really quickly here, I have my previous data frame, and that looks like this CSV file. And then I'm going to say, for this row, go and add a column called current price. So for this row, lambda row, go add a column called current price, and give the value to that like section, that cell called get price row, and that's going to be a function we create right now. And then the same thing for this moving average. So one other thing I need to do here, I'm going to do here, I'll do it in a second actually. So define get price, and get price is going to take in a row from our data frame. And then I'm going to go ahead and grab that ticker name. So the ticker is going to be equal to row, and then the symbol. So remember over here, here's the row, the ticker name DRNA is held in this symbol column. Okay. And what I want to do now is create a dictionary to hold all this information. So a lot of times you'll see in the CSV file that the company is repeated, so BLFS, BLFS, BLFS. I don't want to call Pandas Datareader 3 times here, so I'm just going to call it once and then store all that value, all that information into a dictionary. And then the next time I come down here to BLFS, I want to check and see if I already have that information. If I do, just plug it in there. No need to rerun Pandas Datareader. So I'm going to create a dictionary up here called infodict. Infodict equals open close brackets. And that's how you define a dictionary in Python. So for this ticker, if the ticker is not in infodict.keys, which are all the keys to our dictionary, so if it's not in there, we want to go and get the ticker info. So ticker info equals this get info function we created, and then we need to pass in ticker and a number of periods for this moving average. And I'm going to say ticker info equals get info, ticker, num periods. I'm going to define another variable up here called num periods. And what's that equal to 180? So num periods equal to 180. Ticker info, we're going to go and get info for this function, and we're going to pass in the ticker that we get from this row, and then the number of periods for our moving average calculation. Very good. Okay, once we have that, we can then do things like this. So let's see here. So if it's not in the keys, we need to add it to the keys. So infodict, our dictionary, and then the ticker name, and then we're going to assign the value of that to another dictionary. Here we go. Very neat. And the reason why I did that, I'll show you in just a second, is that we want to give the price and the moving average its own spot in our big dictionary underneath that ticker name. So infodict ticker. We're going to create another thing in this dictionary, another key in this dictionary called price. And that's going to be equal to our ticker info that we got right here. So ticker info, get info, here we go, return the current price. So equals ticker info, and then the very first index of that. Okay, and then using Shift Alt down, ticker info moving average equals ticker info 1. Okay, so that could have been confusing for some of you guys. Let me just make sure that we got that correct. So define get price. The ticker is equal to this row. So for the very first row, our symbol is DRNA. So ticker equals DRNA. And then if that ticker is not in our dictionary we created earlier, I want to add it to the dictionary right here. But first I want to go ahead and get all the information for that ticker using Pandas Datareader. Okay, and then once I get that information, I'm going to give the price and the moving average a value in our current dictionary. Okay, so that was a lot there, but I think we can move on from that. And finally, what I want from this get price function, I just want to return infodict ticker, and I'm going to return the price. Very good. Otherwise, if the ticker is already in our dictionary, so let's say we run through here, so we add DRNA to our dictionary, we add BLFS. Alright, well BLFS is already in our dictionary. What I want to do, oh man, I'm so confused. Alright, I just want to return this. We know it's already been created. I just want to return it. So my current price is going to be this new column is going to use this lambda function to get the price row, and then I'm going to come up here, and for every single row I'm going to figure out what that ticker is in that row, and then go and get the information for it, and then add the price, add the moving average. So let me comment out this and print my data frame and show you kind of what this looks like. So print data frame. So after we've added this current price column, here's what we'll get. Okay, very cool. So we're back here. This took 28 seconds to run fully. So we went and got that CSV file from before. We grabbed all these symbols, and then we added the current price over here for that symbol. And just to verify, let's check out BLFS. The current price should be 1633. BLFS 1633. There we go. Working as intended. Okay, so I'm going to uncomment out this line. The moving average, we're going to do pretty much the same thing. I need to create another function called get moving average, and I'm going to pass in the row. And once again, I need to specify what the ticker is. That ticker equals row, and then I need to get the symbol. And then I'm just going to return infodict ticker moving average. Okay, so the reason that we don't have to go through and do that ticker info, get info again, is because whenever we got the price originally, we went ahead and we added in the moving average to our dictionary, so that now whenever we do the second lambda function, I don't have to keep going back and getting all that data again. I already got it when I got the prices. I have the moving average there as well. No need to duplicate that runtime and speed up or slow down our script rather. Okay, so let's run this one more time just to verify that everything's working as intended. So I'm going to print my data frame and verify that everything's working as intended. All right, here we go. So we got our symbol, and then we have the current price, and then the moving average for that stock. All right, the very last thing we need to do here is not open up Outlook. We need to take this data frame and put it back into a CSV file. And we're going to call this one insider prices.csv. Okay, I'm going to get out of Zen mode here using Control KZ. When I run this one, we should then see a CSV file get created with its current data frame, and then I'll show you how to get that into Tableau, and then we'll move on. Okay, there we go. It took 30 seconds for that one to run. Over here, we should see insider prices CSV, and we have a current price and a moving average. All right, so let's go to Tableau, and I'm going to connect to a file. I don't see CSV here, so more, and then insider prices right here. And there we go. We have our index column here. We have our symbol, the owner, the relationship, so on and so forth, the current price of that stock, and the moving average. And now, next video, we're going to come in here and do some cool things with the stock information, and set up a dashboard that will give me a little bit of insight into maybe potentially good buys or sells on stocks. So guys, I know that may have been a little bit of a confusing video. I tried to simplify as much as I could, and as well as I understood it, I tried to kind of convey that to you. So I really appreciate you guys sticking through with it. If there's anything that confused you, just please leave a comment below, or feel free to message me directly, and I'll try to get back to you as soon as possible. But otherwise, in the next video, we will do the process of creating the dashboard, and try to automate the process of running that script every single day without me having to go in and type in Python/run, whatever. So yeah, have a great day.